I forgot to put the Capes, Cowls, and Crusaders introduction on for this video.
Oh, we're firing on all cylinders, aren't we?
How's it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll pull through. People know what we're about.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I feel like shit, so I'm just gonna keep the camera off for this one, and then I'll have it on for the next one.
All right. Let's see. News of the week. Paul Thomas Anderson won the Directors Guild Award on Saturday for One Battle After Another, and The Pit won directing for drama, and the studio won directing for comedy. Had a couple deaths in the industry yesterday. And then I saw some new movies. What's gone on with you? Anything?
A lot of personal drama that I won't bore you, but I'll let you know after the show. But as far as movies, I've probably only seen one. And any movies that I wanted to see this past weekend and this weekend, I'm going to have to wait for a later time until I figure some stuff out. But I did see something, so we can talk about it. I did see Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa's The Wrecking Crew on Amazon Prime. Some good action here and there that I actually liked in some ways, but for the most part, this looks like it's trying to be like Bad Boys with a flair for Fast and Furious. And by Fast and Furious, I mean is that there always has to be a silly joke, and there's a lot of improbable situations that they put in themselves, that it goes from a grounded like buddy cop thriller to okay, that's not realistic, and it shows. And if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the bridge scene where they're getting shot at by a helicopter, and that goes on for a while, and it is the most poorly rendered action sequence that I've seen in the last few years. Like, I can't believe they thought that that would be entertaining. It's forgettable. Like, I'll say this though, Dave Bautista, I think I understand why he was dressed up in the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because age has caught up to him, and while he is still in shape, he's not as big and as imposing as he was 12 years ago. Okay. And I get it's been 12 years, but here it shows his age like a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's still in shape. He can still kick someone's ass. I'm not going to deny that. I'm just like, bro, what happened? Where'd that muscle mass go?
I did see that Jason Statham movie Shelter yesterday. I was surprised it was really slow to start for a Jason Statham action movie. True, it is the most grounded of the ones he's done lately, the one that feels the more higher quality, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you know how we often say that, oh, this feels like a movie we've seen 100 times before? I felt that was literally true this time, you know? Where it's like, okay, you got like
I did say it's familiar ground. It's like Jason Bourne.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you have the good guy being hunted by either CIA or MI6, and eventually the person in the control room finds out that, oh, the person's being framed by one of their superiors trying to cover up some misdeeds from their past or whatever. Except in this one, it really made no sense why the villain was obsessed with getting the guy, because it's like, okay, it's Bill Nighy playing the bad guy, but the way he's playing the character didn't seem like a guy who's so pissed off that he's going to make this an issue the way he is in this movie. It's like, dude, you're already facing like a suspension, going back into the shadows or whatever, and you're going to allow this to piss. It's like, really? And the climax wasn't great. It's like, once it started, I thought, okay, you're trying to get the girl to safety. I get it. And okay, here we go. We're going to take off. And then it just kind of ends really quickly after that. So while it's not over the top ridiculous like The Beekeeper or Working Man, which were his last two films, I think those movies are a bit more enjoyable because they're over the top and ridiculous. Because it's like, it's a Jason Statham movie. You know what you're there for, you know? So, I thought it was okay. I give it 3 out of 5, but I think that's the same rating I gave the last two movies as well. But I guess he's making this like an annual tradition now to put a movie out every winter or spring. So yeah.
So let's get into it.
One more movie I saw.
Yeah.
I saw Luc Besson's Dracula.
And
it's true that he's very much following a lot of the stylistic version of Coppola's Dracula and the story beats. But it's weird because it's almost like Luke knows that you know this story already. So some of the scenes are presented almost without context, like they're just trying to rush through it. So the pacing is a bit fast, but if you know the story by heart, then it doesn't really bug me. It didn't bug me that much. And yeah, Caleb Landry Jones doesn't sell it as the young, hot Dracula or whatever, where he's trying to, he tells his life story after his, beloved princess has died and how he became a vampire and all that. But after a time, he was kind of growing on me as a character, and I thought, okay, I know I'm not supposed to feel sympathy for Dracula, but unlike Coppola's, which made the mistake of putting Bram Stoker's name in the title when it clearly is not Bram Stoker's Dracula, this one didn't do that, so adapt as you please. Christoph Waltz is pretty fun, doing his typical semi-apathetic shtick as the priest. Thought it was kind of funny. He's like, "Here, doctor, we'll see if she's a vampire." And he's like, how? The doctor's all freaking out. So Waltz just opens the window, her hands start burning, and then he gets out a cross and it holds it up to her and it catches fire. And he's like, "Are you satisfied?" And he closes the window and tosses the cross in a bucket of water. So nonchalant, and the Christoph Waltz way of doing things. So that was funny. Jonathan Harker is played very like a hapless fool, sort of like he was in the original Nosferatu. I did like the animated gargoyles. That was kind of fun. And so it was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was the 1-star hot garbage that everybody says it is, but it wasn't great either. So like 2.7, 3 out of 5. I could see why they released it in February, but it wasn't the dumpster fire I was led to believe it was going to be.
Yeah. I'll rent it. I'm not gonna go sit there and watch something that looks like an obvious ass pull.
Yeah. And since we're doing the Batman show, I thought I'd show off one of my latest acquisitions. I got Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. A reminder that I really do need a proper light for this show. This is the hardcover collection of all of the issues for the latest one that they did, and it's neat because on the spine it says Loeb, Sale, and Pals, which is nice because they kind of let Sale have the credit because of course he died while they were still animating it. And you could tell where the art shifts between being Tim Sale and all the other guys they got to do it. I haven't read it yet. I was going to save that for maybe if we ever get around to reviewing these. But yeah, it's a nice sturdy set, and I'm glad I got it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to cover beforehand, or should we jump into it?
Trying to think. No, not really. I just saw that one thing, honestly. I finished because I started binging last week. Because all the episodes are available. My brain's not working. Wonder Man, and then I finished it. I liked it fine, but I refuse to be manipulated into finding any redeemable qualities to even come close to liking Slattery.
Right.
The guy who played the fake Mandarin and Iron Man. I'm just like, I know what you guys are trying to do, and no. I do not like this character. I do not like the bait and switch you guys did 13 years ago. We're not going to accept him. And by we, I mean me. I did like basically their parody of what they were doing, because it's basically a parody of Hollywood. They even have an episode with Josh Gad that I'm like, okay, I get what you were going for, but maybe don't use a well-known actor this time. Because I get it. Because I know the whole concept of Marvel when Stan Lee created it was that I want us to feel like something that's happening outside our window because it's the real world, basically, and it's full of heroes. And in some situations in comic books, whether it's DC or Marvel, there's always going to be like that cameo mention or a well drawn lookalike of a celebrity we recognize. So they just put them in there either for a gag or to be like, oh, hey, remember that one time that Batman uh, was bodyguard to Ricky Martin in that one episode of Justice League, and they just made like a reference to Ricky Martin or something. So I'm like, it's okay when it's like playing with it, but in this series, it's like, oh, this is taking place in actual Hollywood, and you get cameos here and there, and I'm just like, I just don't like the idea that in this world, every celebrity we know exists, and they've dealt with all this because, right, yeah, I don't know, it kind of like really removes the fiction portion of it,
right? Because it's like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy clearly takes place in like a fake alternate reality comic booky type world.
yeah.
Whereas the MCU made sure to be very real world based, which has
Yeah,
been hit or
and
miss.
it's fine, and it's fine with it being real world based, but usually when it's real world based, if you want to put someone that's, oh, there's a celebrity and they want to do it, maybe like a version of the celebrity, but not the actual name. If I'm making any
Right.
sense, because by that logic, if 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 Robert Downey Jr. is portraying Tony Stark in this universe, then who's Robert Downey Jr. in this world, or does a Robert Downey Jr. exist? Because if a Robert Downey Jr. doesn't exist, then who's portraying all those roles he's done in the past?
Yeah, unless they do like a weird thing like in Scream 2, where the characters are watching a movie on TV, or Scream. I can't remember if it was Scream 2 or Scream 4, but the characters are watching a movie, and you see Scott Foley as one of the characters in the movie, and he of course played Ghostface in Scream 3. So doesn't really track. I haven't started Wonder Man yet, but I did hear that Josh Gad said his only condition for doing it was if he would be allowed to play a Marvel character down the road, which again makes a bigger problem to your point of having, celebrities playing themselves and then coming back to do other roles. It's just kind of weird. And I still think that regardless of what justification they come up with, that strategy for having the Robert Downey Jr. version of Doctor Doom is still going to kind of blow up in their face a little bit. Maybe not in terms of box office, but in terms of what the fans are going to think about it. Because it's just too jarring.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the show was fine. The show was fine. I think the acting was solid for the most part. They're still keeping damage control there, so I'm like, God, can you guys be? I get what you're doing, but man, you guys are such dicks. like I get what you're doing, but man, you're so rigid. Like, what would have been a good cameo? She-Hulk would have been a good cameo here.
Yeah, I read a review about that saying the damage control in the comics is a bit funner, and here it's just kind of, like you said, just rigid and too serious and all that.
And I get it. It's like, yeah, it's a lot. They want to make sure that they don't, because any potential person with superpowers can be a nuclear bomb walking around, and I get it. And they even have an episode that show why in this version of their world, people with superpowers, no matter how benign they are not allowed to work in Hollywood because of an incident that happened with the episode that we talked about with Josh Gad. But yeah, I liked it for the most part. Yeah, that's the last thing I saw.
Yeah, okay, I'll binge that sometime. But another one I watched on HBO Max from 9 years ago was The Wizard of Lies, where Robert De Niro played Bernie Madoff, and that was actually really good. And it kind of jumps back and forth in time, primarily focusing on the last few months and then the fallout afterwards, or the last few months before the scam got exposed and the fallout after. And it did a good job of showing like how something that big you can get away with it for as long as they did. And it's like, because it took the official approach that the family knew nothing about it, because it's like, oh, the dad says you run your business and I'll run mine, and having that be a hardline rule, kind of like when dad says you don't go into my office, kids, and leave that alone type of thing. but they, the son's getting in arguments with him. Why aren't you letting us join your company, Dad? Don't you want our names on the door like you? And him always fighting and arguing with him about it, and like getting into these shouting matches. And then after his kids leave the room, he like really stresses out because his kids don't know what it is. Robert De Niro's pretty good, one of his better later roles, and it kept me in suspense, kind of like that movie Margin Call. I don't know if you saw that one from 2011 about the stock firm that has predicted the crash is about to happen, so they offload all their stocks the night before the crash. That was a really good movie. So yeah, I liked it. It was pretty good. I gave that one 4 out of 5. I liked it. So I guess we can get on to the main event now if you're ready.
Yeah, I am.
So here it is. We are reviewing Batman Earth 1 Volume 2. I was reading this and it's like I recall that this is my favorite one of the 3. Mm-hmm. Clearly this was a big inspiration for Matt Reeves for the Batman. It's funny because DC put out a collection of like 3 comics or whatever that here are the comics that were the inspiration for the Batman, and this wasn't one of them. But it's clear because it's like, the Riddler going after corrupt people in the city. It's like, okay, it's like literally what he's doing in the Batman movie. But the version of the character of the Riddler in this is the one I love like the most. Like he's threatening, but he's also really crazy, but not quiet or babyface subdued like you saw in the movie. Like here, he's just very, just totally nuts. Extreme. The narcissism is, clearly worn on his sleeve, kind of like the Hush version of Riddler, and I really liked that. Trying to find a good thing here, and the pacing of the story is very good. It picks up 6 months after the first one, where people are kind of divided. Some of them think Batman killed Mayor Cobblepot, others don't because they're like, Batman doesn't use a gun. I like the riddles in here were pretty good. I was even struggling to try and figure them out. This like totally psycho like Riddler out. Harvey Dent also they picked up that same thing from Earth 1 where Bruce's mom was in Arkham and how Harvey's like, stay away from my sister because you're crazy, you're in Arkham. And it's like, okay, they're kind of bringing that back into it. And how Harvey's like obsessed with protecting the informants and you think he's a jerk and then you find out there's like a method to the madness. But I really dig this one. This is a really great story. And admittedly, it's like, Batman in his early years, so he's not a really great detective. And initially he's kind of rude to Gordon saying, being a detective is your job. But eventually he comes around and realizes, no, I have to actually, pull my weight and research some of the cases myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this one had, because if you see in the cover, you see there's a Killer Croc moment.
Yes.
And there's a situation where Batman goes into the sewers because he feels that, he's tracking down the Riddler. And he comes across Waylon Jones, who we know as Killer Croc, and they have a fight and everything. And then somewhere along the way, he realizes, oh, wait, this guy's not the bad guy. He's just someone that's hiding from people, and he just wants to be left alone, which is in line with the character. He's vicious in this one, but he's only doing it because he's trying to, out of self-defense, not like in the main comic book line where, yeah, it might have started that way, but then he embraced the villain they built him up to be. So, here it's just, yeah, I have a very bad skin condition and my mom sold me to the circus and they filed my teeth and they called me a crocodile and I escaped and I've been living here ever since. Oh, and I just happen to have freakish brute strength that I gained by living under the sewer, which reminds me of the classic B monster movie Alligator.
Yeah, alligators in the sewers of New York.
Yeah, and this one, the panels drawn by Gary Frank reminds me of old classic monster movies because of the coloring and the shades. It feels like Batman might be fighting either the Wolfman or Frankenstein with the way it's presented. So I kind of like that detail. And one of my favorite spots is when he and Gordon are starting to work together and figure this out with the Riddler. I like that Gordon is talking and the panels focus on him. And when he turns around, Batman is gone. And you think that it's going to be like the classic, oh, Gordon turns around and Batman disappears like a ninja. But Batman's like, I'm over here. and he's walking out the window. So it's still grounded. It's still a grounded depiction of Batman, even though it still has some of the fantastical elements to it. But I like that jab of those classic Batman moments, and they kind of like poke fun at it. I'm just like, oh, I'm still here. I'm just going over here because I just ignored you. And yeah, Batman is still learning. He is still early in his career. He doesn't do detective work, but here he's trying to, put shit together to the point that it impresses Gordon. Huh, maybe there is hope for you being a detective yet. We're following the sub story with Harvey Bullock, because in the first one, because he is traumatized by seeing all those dead kids in the first book, that he took to the bottle, and he's basically a drunk. And it's only until Gordon needs him to help that he's like, you know what, I'm needed. I'm gonna stop this. Because there's a scene where he's about to drink, and when Gordon tells him, I need your help, I need my partner, are we gonna do this or what? And that was enough. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna quit cold turkey, but he's got the motivation to remind himself, oh yeah, I'm a cop. I'm better than this.
Yeah. When he drags him out at 10, and he says it's 10 in the morning, you're not off duty. You've been on the clock for 3 hours.
Yeah, and then there's this whole thing with the police arresting him, but only because they think that he's the Riddler, and then the Riddler's doing everything to frame him. And there's a lot of panel shots. He gets a new costume, and there's some classic callback moments to moments with Batman, and the cover of Batman #1 from the New 52, where he's basically punching everybody and he's doing like a twirling dance. There's a panel here where he does the same thing, and it's in Gotham jail, which kind of leads to, since I mentioned, we have Harvey Dent in this book, and we have a moment with Harvey Dent where he gets involved, and it may not be acid, but it's the closest thing to acid you're gonna get. And he gets a Molotov to the face, and good Lord, it's one of those things where, we know the origin story of Harvey Dent, but in this case, I'm just like, good Lord, this wasn't even, there was no way of coming back from that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and Sal Maroni felt very thuggish in this one compared to other versions of that character. Almost like street thug type guy. I looked at him and I didn't think mob boss necessarily. But you're right. The Harvey, it's like everybody thinks he's dead. And it's like, oh man, and the whole, the friction that Harvey, the friction that he has with Bruce, because you're in Arkham, you're just creepy, and you always were, and you still are. It's like, really, Harvey?
Yeah. And again, there's further proof that the Batman from Matt Reeves is really drawing from this universe, because there is some similarities here from the Riddler, even though he's not, he actually doesn't look like him. But I like that it's basically kind of like drawing inspiration from how he has all his riddles set up, how he's going after certain people in Gotham City, and they're all being targeted. They're trying to find a common thread. And unlike the main line, these Earth One books are really trying to keep things in a way that's self-contained, and we don't have the time to make the recurring adventures of these characters. Just like the first volume, the second volume, we're coming back to a situation where Batman is fighting his rogues. Stuff happens. The rogues don't make it out okay. And it's not because Batman did anything, it's because of circumstances.
Yeah.
And they flipped the switch on, they flipped the table on some characters. They kind of like, traditions are out of, there's no traditional progression of certain characters. And it's more like, oh, we're doing this now. And they did the same thing with the Harvey Dent and his sister. So Harvey Dent here, we get a Harvey Dent, but it's the sister that we have to worry about now. And we get a tease to Catwoman, but it's a very odd introduction. And when we get to volume 3, I like seeing Catwoman, but I just don't like the choice they made with her, and we'll address it when we get to that volume. But no, it's a solid follow-up.
I did like the way they introduced her in this one. I thought it was kind of funny because you're right. At first, it's like whether or not you know it's Catwoman initially is kind of up for grabs. Some people did, some are not. And then when you find out that it was, it's like, oh, no wonder she's being super nice because she's robbing the guy's apartment. She doesn't want Batman to find out.
Yeah,
So
there was no kid. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, I had to put my kid down. There was no kid.
yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, yeah, she could have left him on the balcony, but she decided not to because she kind of liked the guy.
Of
But
course,
then has to
and
pretend.
that's the thing what I like about their relationship. She was drawn to just this. You're weird. I like that.
And I like that she didn't, as far as we know, when he was unconscious, she never took off the mask to see who
Yeah,
he was. She's like,
yeah.
no, I'm not interested.
Otherwise, when Alfred would have treated him, he would have found some suture on his head, which he didn't.
Right. Um,
Yeah,
and then I like the running joke where Lucius Fox keeps having the team design like a new suit, a new car, and he always comes in and cancels the projects on them. And they're all
yeah.
getting frustrated. And he's like, oh, Mr. Wayne's going to increase your salaries by 40% and create trust funds for all your kids so they
Yeah,
can go to college.
by the end of this book, they're the richest R&D department in the tri-state area.
Yeah. That was great. But
And I liked it because it kind of keeps the anonymity because, oh, Bruce Wayne wants this and he wants it this way. Again, yes. And get what? You're getting that bonus if you don't stop complaining.
yeah, but I really liked the Riddler in this. He was a solid bad guy, and I love the riddles and the games that he's playing, and that was quite fun.
Yeah.
And that's the type of energetic type Riddler that I'd like to see in a movie someday. But
And you know what? It's been a while since I read it, but when he was starting to tell the riddles, I still couldn't figure them out because sometimes the riddles are like very specific. I'm like, no, I would never have figured out, even if it was obvious. It's like it looks, it it smells like green paint, it pours like purple paint, and it looks like a white van. When you throw the van in there, I'm like, it kind of throws you off because wait,
right.
we went from green paint to purple paint, and you say white van, and that throws you off, and the answer is white paint. I'm like, but what? That doesn't make any sense. Why would white paint look like a white van? Because you're thinking it very literally.
Well, I think it's because, like it says, it's because all paint smells or pours the same regardless of color, and the one that he specifies the look is the
Yeah,
white one. So that's
yeah,
why the answer
yeah.
would be white
They
paint.
want you to think it's white, but it's one of those riddles that it's in a way. Yeah, if you think about it, you might find the answer, but it kind of gets to the point where the goal is, oh, I'm going to give them a riddle that's going to psych them out and they're not going to figure it out. And he doesn't want them to figure out because at one point Batman figures it out and the Riddler's like, well, fuck you, I'm going to blow it up anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, because yeah, he does want to. The answer to the first one, or the second riddle, was white paint.
Yeah.
And I can't. What was the third riddle? Oh yeah, the third one was the easiest. The shadow. What
The shadow, yeah.
the shadow of the bat. And then the first one, I was trying to remember it because it's the one about the guy who lives on the 30th floor. He takes the elevator down to the ground floor every day, but when he gets home, he only takes the elevator to the 20th floor and walks up the remaining 10 flights of stairs. Why does he do that? And the
Yeah.
answer is because he's too short to reach the 30th number 30 on the elevator.
Yeah.
Which, in my experience, a lot of elevators I've seen, it's almost sometimes it's the other way around, where it's like reading a book, where the level will have floor 1, 2, 3, and go all the way down like that. But then others, I guess it's different. But that was a good riddle as well. That was fun.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good follow-up and looking forward to discussing as of this moment, the final volume, which is volume 3.
Yeah, and I give this one a solid A grade. It was very good. Anything else you want to cover for the show?
I got nothing. Been so busy with stuff. I just focused on this for now.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing about that Dracula movie I watched, it didn't fully follow the story of the Coppola version because Lucy and her suitors are not in the story. Instead, it's like he spends 4 centuries after his wife dies trying to find the reincarnated version of his wife that he thinks is out there, and he invents this perfume that's irresistible to women, and he goes around and starts there's a great sequence where he goes to Versailles, sees how freakish everybody looks, with their, the dolled up white paint or white faces and the makeup and everything. And he sees a woman who looks kind of like his wife, and he's talking to her, and she just like laughs in his face. So he decides, oh, then screw you guys. I'm just going to bite all the women in here and turn them into my servants. Just kind of rad. And instead of Lucy, it's this girl, Maria, redhead. And yeah, so it was funny and fun, but far cry from Luc Besson's better films in his early career. Yeah, well, I mean, it shows here that we've had people watching on and off, but we have no comments. So who knows? I know the StreamYard link or the StreamYard live viewer thing is not reliable. So I don't know if anybody's actually watching right now or not. But I guess.
But if you did, we apologize for it being short, but it's one of those days. It's one of those nights.
Yep, and we'll save trivia for next week when maybe we're feeling better.
Yeah, just, we do the best we can. We'll try to be more active, but until next time, people.
Yep. Speaking of which, let me find the proper outro for this show. I still need to remember to get Steve to fix it to swap Scott with you for the games, Cowls and Crusaders. All right. See ya, everybody. Sorry if you're expecting a longer show if you're watching this on the replay, but and that's a hot week for everybody. So we'll be back on our game next week with an episode of From the Pile, episode 5.
Yep.
See ya.